video two, the second aspect we're going to be looking at is informed consent. During scenario one, it was stated the participant of the research gave a consent form for participating and therefore acts as a piece of good practice for the researcher. Therefore, the fact that they have consented to be on this trip means that the researcher isn't liable to any claims regarding the fact that this gymnast shouldn't be at the research facility, which may have caused serious legal issues if not carried out. Additionally, the fact that these participants are at an age of 10 to 16 means that they must have obtained consent from their parents as they are under the age of 18. As a result of the researcher providing this, they have protected their own reputation and the organisations, as all participants have a legal form of consent to attend the research. However, informed consent is a legal and ethical requirement of research which must consist of detailed consent to fully maximise the chances of participants in consenting to every aspect of the research, whereas the consent form given to the researcher from the gymnastics coach was stated as generic, which is then backed up by the fact that it only consisted of their attendance for the trip. Therefore, acting as a bad piece of research practice, as the participants haven't obtained consent from the entirety of the research. As a result, the researcher and the organisations which they represent are at a threat to any possible claims against them regarding perhaps the activity of using the hydrogen strontium bath, or for their results to be displayed openly on a whiteboard. This could be due to perhaps one of the participants feeling disrespected or perhaps anxious about the results being shared, which would act as a form of psychological harm. And this could be cause other participants to maybe perhaps bullying, which would also lead to mental health issues or amongst the gymnasts. Therefore, increase the chance of the participant having a rightful claim against the researcher which took place, which in turn would cause a bad publicity for the organisation carrying out this scenario, and significantly affect the opportunities the researcher are able to obtain in the future, due to maybe perhaps formal reprimand, which is a temporary suspension, termination of or termination of contract. And additionally, there could be dealt with termination of the basis accreditation. In the future, I would recommend that a sufficient consent form is provided to the participants, which consists of all required statements. These are the following: a statement that states there will be a research in the study, an expected duration of how long the research will last, and what is the purpose of the research to ensure the participants are aware of why it is being carried out. A detailed description of the procedures that the participant are aware of and why it's being carried out. A detailed description of the procedures the participant is required to endure. Therefore, the participant can be fully expecting every aspect of the contents, which they will be needed for, with no information being given to them on the day. Additionally, this aspect of the consent form allows for the participant to be prepared for the study. Following on from this, there will need to be a description of the risks that the researcher may bring to the participant in terms of their own safety. Therefore, the participant will have the prior knowledge of what could go wrong, or therefore also offering another aspect of comfort to give them a positive mindset and therefore produce accurate data. However, along with this, there must also be a statement of what controls are in place in order to prevent the risk from affecting the participant in any way. This part of the consent form is not only a legal requirement, but also allows for the participant to have their level mindset, which was also mentioned before coming to the study, as they are aware of procedures to be in place to ensure their safety. However, due to the scenario one is a detailed and sufficient consent form from not being supplied to the participants, means that possibly when they were told about the content of the study, they weren't comfortable enough to efficiently participate in the research. Therefore, some of the researchers may have been poorly affected to consequently cause inaccurate findings, which acts as a consequence to the researcher. Also, the informed consent form being poorly affected must also consist of a description of the benefits towards them due to the study to ensure that their awareness of the research is once again reinforced. Also, this section of the form reinforces the fact that the researchers are responsible for the participants, that they are the ones that have to ensure that they are being taken care of due to the research. Additionally, the form must also include contact details for the participants to make any claims against the researcher or the study that took place, so they are easily accessible. Finally, the informed consent form must also include a statement which indicates to the participant they can refuse to take further part in the research at any time or withdraw and that there is nothing to stop them from doing this. Therefore, once again, providing the participant with a degree of comfort during a possible stressful time, which will hopefully, in turn, allow them better results for the researcher in terms of accuracy. And following on from this, this scenario also covers subject permission. Similar to informed consent, the subject permission aspect of the code of conduct that a researcher must carry out before any testing takes place, although this is also given through the signing of consent form. Subject permission must be gained before every piece of interaction with the participant is carried out. For example, if a researcher was not to ask the participant if it was okay to wear swimsuits in the open lab before the tested body fat percentages, like in scenario 1, this aspect wouldn't be carried out. The speaker subject permission for this is to be done wasn't gained during the study prior to this, and therefore both researcher and participant may face certain consequences. Additionally, the aspects of the scenario also acts as a piece of bad practice for the researcher, as it wasn't carried out due to a sufficient enough degree, even when the participants showed reluctancy to some of the research requests. As a correction, in order for this aspect for the research responsibility to be carried out, I would ensure that before every aspect of the study involves actions committed by the participant, that the researcher would ask permission for this action to be carried out. Additionally, this scenario covers respect, and another use of the poor practice by the researcher in scenario 1 would be the fact that they showed a lack of respect towards the participants in certain areas. For example, firstly, some of the gymnasts were reluctant about wearing just the swimwear in the open lab. However, the researcher insisted that they had to do this in order to save time. This is a poor example of respect, as the researcher hasn't taken into consideration the different responses that each of the participants may have underwent as a result of this inconsiderate decision. For instance, there are many aspects of the respect that a researcher should take into consideration when attempting to show respect towards the participants. Firstly, each and every participant may have different anxieties, which may be triggered as a result of the research. Therefore, the researcher must take steps in order that the participant is comfortable as possible during the study. In this case, the researcher would have offered the choice of the participants leaving the lab area, whilst each participant underwent the study, which acts as a correction that I would recommend. Therefore, possibly reluctancies could have been avoided, and therefore benefited not only the participants' well-being, but also the test results with a calm participant. Additionally, the autonomy of awareness of the choices of the participant must also be recognised in order to provide respect. In scenario 1, the choice could have been given to them for the results of the participant not to be part of the whiteboard, and therefore prevent some possible harmful consequences for them, like psychological harm. Following on from this, the performance of each participant must also be respected to once again avoid consequences like psychological harm. For instance, if sufficient verbal support regarding the performance of the participant in a possibly psychologically difficult study of the high density path, then perhaps they wouldn't feel too respected in harsh conditions, or disrespected in harsh conditions. Also, knowledge of the participants must also be respected. This could be knowledge regarding how they perform the research to the best ability, and if this isn't up to the best degree, then it's the research responsibility to ensure this. And finally, the participant dignity and appreciation should additionally be respected in research, which specifically in scenario 1 didn't occur. For example, the fact that the gymnasts weren't given the option to not have to wear the swimsuits in an open lab area indicates a lack of respect towards their dignity and doesn't entirely appreciate their dedication to the study. The participant, due to the particular piece of poor practice, the participant would be vulnerable to a number of consequences. Firstly, the lack of respect shown to them during the reluctant stage of the scenario could cause possible psychological harm. This could be possible anxieties being exposed to triggered to increase the chance of the researcher the participant feeling uncomfortable. Additionally, the fact that the results of the participants were displayed openly on the whiteboard may also cause reinforcement to the psychological harm caused by the previous piece of poor practice, therefore increasing the chance of APS claims against the research taking place in scenario 1 and the organisation behind it. This may then lead to legality issues, to in turn cause the researcher's ethical clearance being stripped from them. For the research consequences, firstly, the lack of respect shown towards the participants by the researcher may cause the possibility of inaccurate findings as a consequence. This is because the lack of respect could cause a negative attitude towards the research being taken place from the participant, and as a result, they ensure that the research isn't carried out to a significant degree. For instance, after not being respected by the offering the autonomy by not being in an open area, whilst wearing the swimsuits may give the participant the motive to not exhale all of their air from themselves whilst being in the high-density bath, which could produce an increased reading body fat percentage. Additionally, this consequence may also have occurred due to the fact that certain anxieties being triggered whilst taking part in the skinfold measurements, and as a result of not respecting the participants' dignity. As corrections to this poor practice, I would offer some corrections to the research to maximise efficiency. For example, the researcher should provide the choice of not wearing a swimsuit in the open lab in order to provide appreciation and to their dignity, therefore showing an indication that the participants' privacy is respected and consequently place them under a calmer mindset. Also, certain anxieties like privacy of results weren't taken into account by the researcher in the scenario. Therefore, I would recommend that each participant should have the option to have their results stored in a confidential document. This will allow the privacy to be restored and prevent possible psychological harm to the participants, like perhaps bullying that could occur from these results being shared amongst peers, and therefore once again show another sign of disrespect. Also, this scenario covers the aspect of volunteer in the code of conduct for research. During scenario 1, there is a good practice of volunteers due to the fact that they could be implemented. The participants weren't paid or given incentives to take part. Additionally, there was no indication given that the participants were coerced into being volunteers for this research, due to these being the deciding factors in whether or not a participant is allowed to volunteer for a particular study. The gymnasts have the right to participate. Therefore, the consequence would be that they underwent the research safely and legally, which would benefit the study and the reputation of the researcher and the organisation they represent. This could benefit their standings in whatever project that they are undergoing. However, during scenario 1, another aspect of this research which could be argued as a poor practice is the fact that it wasn't made clear that the participants had the right to withdraw at any moment. This is a vital part of the research being carried out, which wasn't clearly indicated in this study. Therefore, by participant and the researcher would face possibly serious consequences like psychological damage or the researcher's ethical clearance to conduct studies. The right to withdraw consists of 2 main points. The researcher must make clear to the participants throughout the research. Firstly, the participants can withdraw from any research at any given point, and no matter what stage the researcher is currently at. For example, if during scenario 1, one of the participants indicated that they want to withdraw from the study when finishing the skinfold measurements were being carried out without a detailed informed consent form, then the researcher would be legally obliged to ensure this. However, if for some reason the participant wasn't aware that they had this right, which would also be included in the informed consent form, which wasn't provided, then they may be self-consciously forced to continue the study against their will. Additionally, the fact that the researcher had previously ignored the participants' reluctancy gives the indication that if one of the participants wanted to immediately withdraw, the researcher may not ensure that this would take place and therefore face consequences such as removal of their ethical clearance. The second aspect of the participants' right to withdraw is the fact that they did not have the reveal the reason of why they are terminating the test. This could be due to certain insecurities that the different participants have, which they would like to be disclosed to the researcher. For example, in scenario 1, a participant may feel that they want to terminate the test, and the researcher would be forced to ensure that is carried out to a safe and sufficient degree. This will be the end